Hey everyone, I'm Brandon Jones. I got Brad.
Hi.
I got Damiani.
Yo.
I'm feeling the Force no matter what because it's Star Wars time, man. There's just Star Wars everywhere you look. There's Star Wars, and it happened. Episode 9 came out. We all saw it, and we are about to talk about it. I got to warn you. I mean, there's a 9-film spoiler gap about to happen. Like, if you have not seen episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, don't watch this video because we're going to talk about all of it. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about episode 7 a lot, episode 8 a lot. And, of course, episode 9. So if you have not seen that stuff, thank you for being a patron. I appreciate it. But I advise you not to watch this. Get out to the theaters. Go see episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. And then come back because the spoilers start right now.
Spoiler mode, final warning, spoiler mode activated.
Okay, I can't help it. We got to immediately get into it. Brad, what did you think?
I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it. I walked out. Okay, so this movie has problems, but I walked out of this movie feeling better than I did about Last Jedi. I walked out of this movie theater.
I walked out different, but yeah, I also thought it was okay. I think it's a hard movie to get mad at. I see people furious on social media, and boy oh boy, I have issues with this movie. But I'm not. The more I think about it, it's I don't know. There's stuff that makes me legitimately happy.
Star Wars, it takes me forever to make up my mind about something, and I've seen it one time, so it's my opinion will probably change rapidly over time, but that was okay.
And it's worth keeping in mind, some of you probably seen it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
You might be a little more knowledgeable or remember specific events more than we do, but Damiani, hot takes right off the bat.
It took every bit of my self-control to not burst out laughing at the first 4 words of the title crawl, the text crawl.
The dead speak.
The dead speak. I was just like,
Oh yeah,
looking at the I was like, oh my god,
dude, necromancy, bro.
I was like, I was like,
Ghosts,
okay,
bro.
I knew what I was getting in here with Palpatine and stuff. I just knew he was in this, but holy shit, we're going all in on this. I was like, I expected the absurd, I got the absurd, and wow, you could look at each one of these films individually and probably walk away from any one of them feeling maybe good about them. But this film cements it as a trilogy. This was a failure of a trilogy for me. These films absolutely had no business trying to be a trilogy as they were. They don't lead into each other properly. This film suffered from feeling like the fastest paced film I'd seen in a long time. It felt like they were trying to cram 2 films worth of developments into one film to retroactively course correct on The Last Jedi to, this felt like an overcorrection, like an overreaction to the some of the criticism of The Last Jedi.
I didn't feel the correction so much, but it felt like you're trying to tell a friend a story and they're like, I gotta go, and you're like, okay, so you just rush things up. Watch, Brad, I'm gonna use the Force. Watch this. I'm gonna pull Damiani's mic a little bit closer to me. Watch, just a little bit. Yes. So there's a lots of different ways we can approach this. I mean, I do want to talk about the Emperor because I think he. I had the thought today again, Brad, like you were saying, I went to bed Thursday night and then last night, just nothing but Star Wars in my brain, just swimming around. And I realized JJ seemed kind of obligated to be like, well, 3 ends with Palpatine, 6 ends with Palpatine. That's what, we have to wrap that up.
Now that there's no big bad villain, I guess.
And it was just interesting that there was none of that in 7, 8, no whimpers, no echoes. There, I can see things that were setting up, like when you saw the flashbacks with Rey on the planet, that they did kind of fit into the flashbacks that we saw, specifically them getting knifed on the ship. I think maybe that was shot by the time they did 9, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of that other stuff, specifically that younger actress with her parents, it's maybe they shot that when they did Force Awakens, I don't know. And then it didn't show that later, because classic trilogy spoilers, everybody talks about the kiss between Luke and Leia in Empire Strikes Back. That's because Lucas didn't know that they were brother-sister. A lot of that stuff he was just kind of making up as he went along. I do believe that Abrams knew that she was a Palpatine in Force Awakens. I believe Rian Johnson knew that.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what
they were building
to.
toward that. It just, when that information came out, it just didn't have
I think
the same kind of oomph.
Just like with 8, I think it was just Rian Johnson just being like, no, I don't like any of that. No, she's nobody now. It's like, well, she was supposed to be someone.
Well, your parents were nobody, you know, and
yes,
I think,
but she's somebody
because I think Kylo did see that. I think he did recognize that, like, I've seen your parents. Your parents are dead. They're not coming back. They're nobody. You're nobody. Like, we need to, because even if he was to tell her she's a Palpatine, that still fits into what he ultimately wants to do, which is like, screw the Emperor, screw everybody. You and I can rule all of this. Let's do it. And so that kind of did fit into his personality. But I keep thinking about, even if you know what's coming, the reveal of Luke being Vader's father, and I think it to me is so much more impactful because you don't really get a sense that something's going on with Luke's legacy. Like, it's just that, like, Luke, yeah, it was his aunt and uncle, but that's just like, every Disney princess has lost at least one parent, you know? So it's like just kind of this classic hero journey set up. And then, it's like, this guy killed your father. That is a classic, villain setup, a classic, leading up to a clash in a second film. And it's like, you have to fight this guy because he's the one that killed your father. And then curveball, no, I am your father. I'm the one speaking to you. It's literally us. This is father and son right now. And Kylo telling her in, like, the hangar, in front of a bunch of stormtroopers with guns pointed at her, it just kind of, even just the word Palpatine was like,
Would you have been happier if he just did it through, like, their connection?
Yeah, maybe. Or, I don't know, it just, or Palpatine saying that, I don't know, it just kind of didn't, it was, I really didn't want to snicker, but I snickered so much. I snickered at moments I was ashamed of myself that we'll get to later. I was like, no, I really don't want to find this funny because this is incredibly serious, And this has, Star Wars and real world implications of drama, and it's just so clumsy. But I legitimately loved parts of this film, and so I don't want people going in that, like, I don't want people that liked this movie kicking off this video and being like, oh no, just the Emperor in general. I mean, going back to, like, he's in almost all of these films. Episode 4 is, Ian McDiarmid is not in Empire Strikes Back, but other than Episode 4, he's in every single movie. Was there any kind of satisfaction, Damiani, seeing him kick ass?
I love the Emperor as a character. Great memorable lines from, like, the past, 2 trilogies and stuff. And I felt like this would have been an awesome lead up to Palpatine being, like, this ultimate villain, because he's kind of like the villain of the whole series, the Skywalker series, you want to call that now. He was the main orchestrator of the prequel trilogy and stuff, with the fall of the Senate in the Republic, to leading the Empire in the original trilogy, to he could have been this driving force, but it did not feel satisfying because it did not feel earned, because nothing in the first 2 films to me pointed towards we're culminating with Palpatine.
Yeah.
It felt shoehorned in. The most analogous thing I could think of is Twilight Princess, when they shoehorned Ganondorf in at the end when he came out of nowhere. Except at least in that,
spoilers. You got to brace yourself.
At least
man.
in
it's all
that,
coming
they
out.
had a scene showing Ganondorf at one point, whereas, like, Palpatine just doesn't even appear until now, and it's like, okay, like, even just, like, they didn't have to reveal his face or anything, but, like, having, like, a hooded figure cryptic, it's like, those cryptic transmissions and stuff like we had in the prequels, like, we know that's Palpatine, but, like, they're trying to keep it a secret. It's like, they didn't even do that. And, like Snoke, where Snoke came from. I mean, they ultimately say, oh, that's where he came from, but, like,
do they though? I don't know.
Like,
they showed, like, the clones
Palpatine said, like, it was all me. I orchestrated all this. Snoke was me. Like, I was like, this is my gift. I can foresee everything. And the problem is that again, going back, I don't feel this was planned as a trilogy. Like, they didn't have an outline for a trilogy. They just kind of made stuff up as they went along. And I think the problem is, it's not Rian Johnson's fault that this happened. He just made a film. It was told and it was approved to make The Last Jedi, and it became what it was. And then J.J. Abrams comes along and is like, we're gonna do this, and, like, no one planned it out. It would have gone so much better if they had planned it out and maybe stuck with J.J. for the whole thing. I think it would have been better. But
I don't think anyone's denying that, but I think just, like, the steps that Rian Johnson took backfired on them hard. They kind of wrote themselves in a corner. And they were like, okay, what do we do from here? Because he literally just killed our villain that we were going to have throughout the movies. Now what do we do? So they're like, we need someone.
Just killed the villain. Speaking of killing villains, we got to get this out. We got to air the dirty laundry right when we kick off.
Right,
we're talking about Hux right now. Right? But I mean, I think Hux is a great example of. To me, it's not just the story. I actually think there is a blueprint, and it does kind of make. It's kind of how I feel about the prequels. It's like the story's not bad. Like if you literally look, if I'm telling you, and I literally don't even say the words Jar Jar, and you don't hear his voice. Like, there's a way, I guarantee you, there's a way if I could just like sap all of those memories out of your brain and set this up about this Jedi finding this warrior that was cast out of his group, and then that warrior helps the Jedi. You're like, oh, that guy kind of sounds cool. And then you see him for 5 seconds, you're like, wait, no, hold on, something went wrong. So it's not so much like the setup, it's just like the execution of how, like Holdo from Last Jedi, like I just have an issue with, not because of like necessarily the decisions she makes. It's like, I just don't know this person. It's just like not set up in a way that other generals in the other films have been set up, where either they're not a part of the story or they are a big part of the story, and then you give them justification or you give them some kind of like a backstory, you explain what's going on. It wasn't so much that like I have an issue with Snoke being taken out the way he was, at that point in the story. It's just kind of the way like that, felt a little annoying, the way that they, kind of pulled the rug out.
The gotcha moment.
And Hux is a great example where it's like, you and I talked about this with Last Jedi. It's like, I don't have a problem Hux making these decisions or making the mistakes that he does. It's just straight up different direction. He just seems like a different person told him to play a different character. And then it felt like JJ was kind of stuck with this goofball Hux and then had to just make him comic relief. Yeah. I mean, I was sitting in the theater at that moment. We got blasted. I was like, Brad. Yeah.
I was just like, oh no. I said next to Chris, I was like, oh shit. I expected everyone I liked in this trilogy just to die, though. And I was right.
Yeah.
Everyone I liked, the best characters died.
What did you think of our new character played by Richard Grant? Let me look up his actual his name, but the guy who kills Hux. What did you think? Dude,
yeah. So I love that guy. I love the Imperial officers that are just
General
maniacs.
Pride with a Y.
Pride, love that guy.
My friend Mike Buddy leaned in. He was like, Pride? I'm like, Pride, buddy. Roll with it.
I love that guy, dude. Been serving the Emperor forever, dude. That was sick, dude. I love that guy.
That was kind of cool. That vibe of
Grand Moff Tarkin vibe, dude.
Because
Thrawn vibe.
One thing, it's great that you bring up Thrawn, because that's what I kind of miss. That's what I felt was missing in Last Jedi, is like all the generals are dumb. They all make mistakes. Yeah. Even that guy who's like in the beginning of Last Jedi, who's trying to correct and is like, fire on the surface, fire on those ships. When like the dreadnought gets blown up and you see him like, damn it, just staring at these flames, like shooting at him. Yeah. They're all kind of bumbling idiots. And like, it's one thing if stormtroopers are silly. It's one thing if, they just send out, all of these soldiers and they all get massacred. But like, at least give me somebody. I wasn't afraid of anybody really in this trilogy other than Kylo. Like I wasn't really like, there wasn't anybody I feared as much as Vader. I feared as much as the Emperor. Even just the beginning of Return of the Jedi, when he tells the Emperor, like, oh, the Emperor's showing up. That guy's like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. We'll build faster. But I loved one thing that I think this trilogy did do, either successfully or attempt, was speak directly to different types of Star Wars fans. One of my favorite moments of Force Awakens is she puts on the helmet, and is sitting there eating food, Rey, and has no idea what these things are. She's heard of Han Solo, she's heard of Luke Skywalker, she thinks that they're just myths. She knows how these things work. She can go into an AT-AT and take it apart, but doesn't really understand the magnitude of what happened on Jakku or what's happened on other planets. And that does kind of speak to, I saw myself in her, of just like, oh yeah, that's me. That was me as a kid, like playing with these toys. And I maybe I'm looking way too much into this, but I wonder if there was a little bit of that in Pride, that Pride was like, old trilogy, like that was, he's like, no, I've served you old forever. Trilogy, yes. I'm going to do this the old way, the way we used to. Yeah, I'm going to, get these Star Destroyers, go blow up these planets, forget about it. And I did like the little, a tug of war that they had, where they were like, oh, we got to blow up that tower and we're done. And he's like, no, move it over here. It was like, oh, finally, somebody's strategizing and actually giving this resistance a run for their money. What did you think of just the First Order in general? Yeah,
I felt that Pride was a better general. Like he came off much better than anything I'd seen. Yeah, he was competent. He was imposing. Yeah, no nonsense. And it did feel a lot like the OG trilogy, where they were all ruthless, and because if you failed, Vader would strangle you, the Emperor would strangle you, force strangle you, and it's like, this is it. And it sucked. I felt bad that Hux got killed, but the way he did it, he's like, it was obvious. He's dancing. Shoot me in the leg once. It's like, okay, yeah, you're dead. He just takes the gun himself, shoots him, and goes, inform him I found the spy. It's like, oh, there you go. Nothing gets by us. And then how whatever the planet was, I forget its name, the Snowden Village one, where they
oh yeah, where the bounty hunters stuff.
Yeah, the Imperial occupation there, it felt menacing. I was
seeing it being destroyed from a distance. Yeah. little slice of life.
And that was his thing. Like Pride's like, yeah, like no nonsense how we deal with these planets now. Like we are like the Empire. Like we should rule by fear, and people should fear us.
Speaking of that plan, I gotta bring up my personal biggest disappointment with this movie. Dude. Biggest disappointment. It kills me.
We all have to label our biggest disappointment. Mine's coming. Mine was not.
Mine is
this
probably
planet
not
was
like,
probably my favorite.
Mine's probably not like
period of the
anyone
film.
else's. It's just the Knights of Ren. Were my biggest disappointment in this whole goddamn movie.
They didn't really do anything.
They didn't do anything.
It seemed like a music video when they were on that sand planet. You know, when they were like up on the rock and it was just kind of circling around. Like I didn't want to talk too much for the people like in front and behind me. Like I didn't want to be that guy that's constantly leaning into his friends. But I wanted to like lean in and be like, it's a K-pop video. You know, they were all just like. Dun, 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 dun,
Well, it's because like you set them up. They're not in 2. Like whatever. They're not in 2. It's okay. Like whatever. And they bring them in 3. But you don't know anything about him. You never see him do anything except walk around, and they fight Kylo at the end.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, this could have been so sick.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about also in Last Jedi when they have this battle against these like red-robed, red-helmeted guards of Snoke.
Yeah,
like, I don't know who they are, and so like
guards.
Kylo and Rey wiping them out, I don't know who they are.
They're just royal
I guess
guards
it's
with
so it's
weird weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is this a hard battle for them, or are these like battle hardened dudes, or are they literally just there for show?
And were they not supposed to be like Jedi or at least Force users or something?
I
or
guess
am
according to like a comic or something like that. I saw it. I haven't read it yet, but like I don't think
got lots of
they're
time now.
Necessarily, like I'm still like there's still many things I need to put together, so
Okay.
I'm gonna figure it out. But like I was thinking about that at the same time with you, but I don't know if they necessarily were.
I was bummed we didn't see how Chewie got captured. That would have been rad. Imagine like imagine Chewie fighting the Knights of Ren and then whooping Chewie and putting him in shackles and
Did this?
yeah. yeah. That's what it felt like. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like the most eventful thing they did was fight Kylo, and like they just like matter of fact fight him, like no tension, no like wow we have to fight Kylo or something. He's like, no, we're just doing it because we're just evil and we just like do it as
So I guess there was some Palpatine's pocket the whole time.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, they're not really the Knights of Ren, then, are they?
Yeah.
I did like, we were talking about the First Order a little bit before we move on to them. I did like the boardroom scene, and it reminded me that we didn't really get a lot of that in this trilogy.
Yeah.
And that was like a callback, not necessarily to Return of the Jedi, but to A New Hope. Them just all sitting around and bickering, and it shows, it was frustrating to see Hux go down like that, but at the same time, I do think it's a commentary from JJ on just that. This is how the Empire works.
Yeah,
like
they're ruthless.
They seem like. I can't remember if it's I think it's Hux in his like classic speech that's so great.
Oh, I love
Force
that
Awakens.
speech.
But he's like finally we will smite this republic that is basically soft on crime so much. He's like afraid to dominate this galaxy the way it should be. But then that is your issue, is that you're going to have this hierarchy of people that are just so power hungry, such as politics in any country, of just these cutthroat, knock people out by the kneecap and take over. And so I think that is like the clear difference being set up, obviously in the end, not only with the Resistance fighting as hard as they do, but with all their best friends all showing up, that, friends, yay. Not generals and this structure of I rule over you, I command you.
Friends showing up, dude. Wedge.
That was
Wedge.
That was old guy was Wedge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Was
what
he
I
in the
thought.
Falcon? Was he in the gunner scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd fly an X-wing, but
We'll get to that. And that actually brings up something else that kind of frustrated me about this movie. It felt very Dragon Ball in just like it was all about power levels. It was all about like how strong is Kylo, how strong is the Emperor, how strong is Rey, and all of that just seemed and how strong are the Knights of Ren, and all that just seemed kind of like arbitrary. It just seemed like the movie was telling me that they are as powerful as they are, but I don't really like feel it. And I think and that's why it's like the Yoda fight at the end of Episode 3 with with Palpatine. He just like walks away, and I remember in the movie theater being like, "What? Where are you going, Yoda?" And then it took me time to realize, well, him just walking away kind of speaks to how powerful he feels. Palpatine's like, I can't win this fight. I was not prepared for this fight. I didn't know this fight was coming. He did, and so I'm one step behind. I got to accept the loss. I got to leave.
So with the power thing, at least with Palpatine, like the idea that he at least somehow found a way through the dark side of the Force, like unnatural methods to still be alive, it speaks to his power. In the whole shooting the lightning thing in the air, like literally disabling the whole fleet. That's some goddamn power, Jones.
It is, but he doesn't really disable it. He just kind of like blue shells the fleet, but they all come back.
Oh, of course.
Like you
they
don't
get
see anybody.
interrupted.
I just show me one ship just like fly into
Slam
another
to the
ship or
ground.
something. And it was just strange. I understand a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of criticisms on social media where people are like, let's just stop talking about the plot holes. But like there were some things that did there are going to inevitably be plot holes because there's so much going on. The classic one that even Maz Kanata mentions is he's like, well, how'd you get that lightsaber in Force Awakens? She's like, that's a story for another time. And it's like a comic book apparently or something. Maybe it'll be a novel later where they show Maz crawling through the bottom of Cloud City.
a
There
lot
it
of
is.
Star Wars stuff they fill in with other stuff later.
But it was strange to me that when they kept talking about like, oh, they're trying to disable the Star Destroyers because they're connected to this thing, and it's like, didn't he literally lift all of these Star Destroyers out of the ice? Like, can't he just move them around or what? Why doesn't he even need a crew?
It was just
like,
for navigation, I think, right?
Yeah. But it's
To get
and
through
like
like out of the planet and everything like that.
it was just it was like again him shooting all this lightning into the sky, like it's a powerful gesture, and it has a lot of impact just visually, and obviously like that is what the Emperor is about. Like you can definitely see his powers escalating from 3 to 6 to 9, but as far as like the stakes of like how do we overcome that when literally Rey just pulls 2 lightsabers out and like done, it's like
parry.
okay, cool.
I mean-
She's that powerful, I guess. Like listening to Jedi does that, I guess.
Yeah, not
It
not even just like Jedi, just like you just remember me about the fleet taking off and all that stuff with it. Like that, each of them equipped with like a planet killer laser on them, which made me think back to like Han Solo's line in the original trilogy, like it'd take more firepower than the entire fleet to destroy Alderaan. It's like
Not
yeah,
anymore.
because now it's like oh every Star Destroyer's got a planet
Death Star
killer. It's
tech.
like I was like okay, all right,
And the Emperor just like thought that up, or that took a long time to develop that
and
technology.
they're just hiding.
or-
Yeah, I mean, took a big leap for me to believe like that whole fleet was just hidden there, and like, oh, now it's just time to strike and stuff. And it's like, okay, so then you sent off for so my whole problem with Palpatine is like the original trilogy for me. So she's a great villain, but like he's not all knowing of everything.
Yeah.
Because there's
His
this,
overconfidence is his weakness.
Yeah, exactly. Because when Vader came back and said like I've sensed my son, he goes, strange. I have not sensed
yet.
it. It's like, yeah, because he can't sense like the light side of the Force sometimes. He's like strong with the dark side. So
Yeah.
him concocting this whole thing, I can believe he came back. Like everything about him coming back makes sense and stuff. But like having this giant fleet on this planet, it felt like so ridiculous. It was like the most ridiculous thing I've seen. One of the most ridiculous things I'd seen in Star Wars. It's like even like the clone army is like, oh, we were cloning clones on this planet and stuff. We've been doing it for like 20 years or whatever. Like, okay, this is just like Palpatine hooked to a machine. He's a reanimated dead body. Is somehow building all these Star Destroyers. Like, it was just too much for me. Like it was the most anime like nonsense thing. I can
He said
think
it,
of.
not me. I said Dragon Ball
Like
specifically.
I didn't like anything about the last fight. It was like meant to be this giant spectacle because like we gotta have a big fight. We gotta have a ton of Star Destroyers, and it was just like. And then like the moment where all the allies show up, it's like I'm great. I was happy for Poe. Like Poe, your faith has been rewarded and stuff. But from the viewer perspective, for me, it was just like. I knew that. I mean, yeah, they were coming and stuff, but it felt like they were trying to like emulate like Avengers, like Endgame, like they all showed up, everybody. Like it wasn't earned. It was like, you're just doing it because you think it looks cool, and there's like no substance behind this. It's so shallow.
As like stuff just being built, I feel like Star Wars does that all the time, where shit is just there all of a sudden. Like when the Death Star blew up in the original movie, like everyone thought that was the end.
Yeah.
Then they're just back stronger than ever.
Yeah.
Then at the end of The Last Jedi, there's like 10 people left on the Millennium Falcon. Like this is it for the rebellion. Then they come back to this movie and there's a ton of people in the rebellion again. It's like that doesn't fucking matter. It happens every time.
I mean, like you guys suspend disbelief, but for me, it comes off as really dumb, and it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
But this was like the pinnacle of that absurdity to me. I was like,
which
I
think
a
is
little too much.
Again, I think JJ felt shackled in like, how do I crank this to 11? Like,
Yes.
how do I make it bigger, better than anyone has ever seen before? What if literally like the Emperor and that's kind of why. Okay, I'll get this off my chest right now, and then I want to get positive. I want to talk about things that I really liked because there were parts that I got misty-eyed. Man, there were some really special moments of this movie, but. I had this vibe of like, okay, if this is going to be as ridiculous as this is, if we're literally going to have everybody show up, if Palpatine is going to blast his lightning into the air and stop all the fleet, let's do it. Let's just do it. Have Palpatine just fly around. Like literally have Palpatine land on the Millennium Falcon and just start shaking it. Like if the entire fleet's gonna show up, show me a ship of literally just Jawas. Like literally show a cockpit of just Jawas like and because that was how I felt about the fleet. Where like the fleet showed up and I'm like, oh my god, and I remember people flipping out in the trailer because you see, I don't know if it's the Ghost, but you see that model.
It is.
How do we know?
Did you finish Rebels?
No. Okay. All right. But I don't want to spoil Rebels for anybody, but I'm dying to finish Rebels now. But again, it's like, why not? How amazing would that be if they got some actor to play her? You know, and like you see her in the cover. I don't know if she's still around.
I feel
at the end
they're
of that,
worried about like throwing too much stuff in related to the shows because no one knows what any of that would be.
But I didn't know Carrie Russell. Who the hell was she? This gold-plated weirdo that just shows up for 2 seconds. When Poe was going and she's like, hey, Poe, I was like, oh, are they doing it? Oh my God, is it her? And then it's like, oh no, remember it's that other chick that just showed up later.
Trust
and
me,
like, what?
I wish they put more stuff in from the shows than rather just random characters.
She's like, I got this medallion. I'm like, that you're going to give to Poe. You know, it literally like they had a scene to set up one other moment, and then that's it's all we need, and then you understand it. And it was like, I need so much more than that, and like they show up, and it's just this ocean of ships. I'm like, oh my god! And Lando's like, what's up? I got Chewie, and like, sweet. Who else? And Wedge is like, what's up? I'm like, cool. Who else? That's it. Cool. You know, it's like no one else. You know, it's like there's no one else from some other planet. Just no like people that were like, yeah, actually some people from the Republic survived and we're here. Some Mon Calamari and some other shit. Just something else. It just like
you wanted to see another person, just like a face.
Yeah, it just. I mean, that doesn't have to be like a face that I recognize, but just some kind of like even like some of the special edition nonsense that they added at the end of Return, where you go to Coruscant, you go to Naboo, you go to these other planets to see what everybody's doing. It felt weird at the end when they did the big wrap up, and it was like, "Hey, Bespin." I was like, "Sweet." They're like, "Endor." I'm like, "Cool." And then like,
literally,
and that's it. And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like two
Jakku.
Ewoks. Like, thanks. Like, what? So just again, it's. Dumb. I felt the kitchen sink just flying at my face, and I was and it was just so shocking that like when the dust settled afterward, I'm like, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know, like literally, like if you're gonna be silly, if you're looking at Babu Frick being like, I showed up for some reason, even though like I'm one of the many people that Carrie Russell. She hasn't talked to me in months and only came by to give me this weird job that I don't necessarily care about. But hey, she called me and I'm here. I was like, if you're gonna do that, if Babu Frick is here, get everybody, get Gungans in here, get everybody. Yeah, that kind of bummed me. And just the idea, like, how did Lando do that? How did he?
What do you mean?
How did he get everybody?
They just sent out the signal, dude.
What signal? We didn't hear the signal. We didn't see him talk to
like,
anybody.
It's just
they all show up and like wait.
So the whole thing
they literally just are watching all these X-Wing get murdered.
I know.
And they're like, "Can we go in?" And Lando's like, "Hold on, I'm gonna talk to Poe. Poe's gonna love this. I'm gonna just say hi, what's up."
Jones, it's because they did the whole thing at the Last Jedi. They sent out the signal and no one came.
Right.
So now they're like, okay, now we'll send it out and everybody will come because this is the end. That was the whole thing. Like whether you like it or not, that was the point of it.
Right. I just wish there was just Lando walking into some bar or something and talking to someone, and then they're like, okay, I'll send the signal out from this thing, or like pulling in some favor, because I do get, like, you do kind of get that from Lando, that he's much more of a businessman than any of these other people. He has a lot more connections than some of these other people, and he knows. He's known, you know, when you meet him in Empire, he's trying to play, you know, everybody's trying to play the Empire. He's trying to play, you know, he's mining, but he's not doing it enough that they got to join the guild and all this other stuff. And like, so he would seem like the guy that could pull this off, but it was just, oh, he did it. And I'm like, I needed that. I needed that not to explain it, but like I needed to see Lando do something else than be like, I love Leia. I'm going to fly the Falcon. That's it. It's like, I need to see Lando being Lando, other than just being a pilot. And that's the other thing. We don't see him really easy. He rescues Finn and his new friend, but like he doesn't. I just wanted like one maneuver that he does, or one thing that, you know, Chewie does in the gun, or to see Wedge take out one guy. Wedge is like, hey, what's up? And it's just like, let me just see Wedge take out one ship, you know? I just want to see the last kick.
Yeah.
That was it. And I felt bad because I was like, I should be enjoying this. Seeing that fleet, seeing all of those ships, and I'm sure when that comes out on Disney Plus, I'm going to freeze frame the hell out of it and just watch all those little details. But I'm like, this should move me to tears.
Sure, and
it's just
not. Yeah, because this movie was just trying to fit so much in, and it just couldn't, man. Like, it couldn't be done. They tried to put too much in, so it suffered from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Lando.
Right.
I like that he showed up in the mask, kind of resembling Return of the Jedi.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I liked that the backstory of him and Luke searching for that planet, the Sith planet, the
Yeah.
whole time. I was like, dude, Luke was actually doing something in between these movies. I like that.
Yeah. Ian was a little thrown that Luke was searching for a Sith planet. Ian was like, what now? Ian, what? Like what? You know, like just the motivations behind that. Like why would Luke...
I think it was like maybe there were seeds of like an original idea which Force Awakens was supposed to explore more and potentially lead into Last Jedi, is that like Luke knew that there was a threat, that like rumors that Palpatine had survived or something, and like he knew he had to finish this fight.
Yeah.
But like his failure with Kylo Ren and stuff, he's like, I can't do this, you know. Like the story could have been something different, but like this sounds so interesting. This is stuff I wish
And
we could
that's-
have explored in the films. And it's
Well,
just
yeah.
it's just said. It's just said
Yes.
that this happened and we don't see it because that scene, like positives,
Yeah.
like to try and transition to positives, the scene with young Luke and Leia when they're fighting with lightsabers and like this. Why have I not seen more of something like this? Or just like them like talking about like Leia had like a vision and stuff like
Leia had a lightsaber.
yeah, it's like this is so
thrown at
I was
us
like,
so fast.
If you're gonna use the old trilogy in characters, use them. Like do something with them.
I saw somebody, this is like just a trilogy criticism, but I saw someone that was like, while we had Carrie, and obviously they didn't know she was going to pass, but like,
Right,
like
yeah.
while you had these actors, they're like, I just want, one of my regrets with Last Jedi is I wanted more of, you know, if I'm really to feel the impact of Kylo having wiped out, not only left the Luke's attempt at recreating the Order, but wiping out all of those students as well. You see a little bit of it in her visions in Last Jedi and Force Awakens, but you know, I wanted to see him, just one thing of Luke, like looking at a class and you could see, oh, look at all the other students that are with Kylo. And somebody commented like just one shot of Luke walking into a room and Leia and Han are like, what's up, Luke? And he's like, they're like, what happened? You know, like just like that.
Yeah,
Imagine
that
that
could've
moment
been
of him
something.
telling
Yeah.
her like,
They
you know,
always
'cause-
they just like broadly cover something, but they never get really in depth with it, which just sucks.
But Yoda's line from Empire Strikes Back, where Obi-Wan says, "It's too bad he's leaving. He was our only hope." And Yoda says, "No, there is another." And you're like, "Oh, what's that? Whoa, what does he mean there?" And then they don't, you know, get to that until Return of the Jedi. It would be great if there was even one line in Last Jedi where you know, Rey's on the island arguing with Luke, and she's like, "Look, we have to stop Kylo. We have to stop the First Order." And Luke's like, "There are worse things out there than the First Order.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand how big this is, how
Yeah.
impossible this fight is to win.
That's
why
like
I'm here,
such
why
a good
I gave
point,
up."
Jones,
Like-
because now looking back at Last Jedi, like Luke not thinking like would the Jedi need to end and stuff. It's like, but wait a second.
Yeah.
If you knew about this giant threat out there, if you just end this, then like they're just gonna roll over the galaxy. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like, hey, Leia, I'm gonna go walk out and take care of this. By the way,
Yeah.
Palpatine's coming back. See you
Yeah.
later. You know, just give us like some kind of heads up.
Peace out.
I'm cool with them like bringing it up because they didn't make Luke a crybaby the whole time. Like an episode, like when he comes back in this movie,
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, all that stuff I did was dumb."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that was dumb. That's why no one liked it.
It's going back and watch the original trilogy, though. I you know. If you're really, everyone probably did this anyway, but if you're really incensed by all the stuff that Luke does in Last Jedi, go back and watch the original trilogy, and like he doesn't make the best decisions.
Luke,
that guy,
no.
you know. So like,
No.
it did make a little more sense, especially in Return, where he's just like, "I'll kill you, Jabba," and it's like, "Whoa, Luke, calm down." Like he's just, "I'll murder people." That's the way I solve things, and so it does make sense that he kind of just ran his course.
There
He's like, "Man,
was-
if I can't even train Han's kid, it's over."
And beyond that, there was a good line in here. I mean, some like a lot of Luke's depiction of this was also trying, I think, correct some of the last like
100%
him
was.
catching the lightsaber and like
100%.
you should treat this with more respect after he like tossed it like that. But the line about when he explains why he did what he did, like why he hit himself and why Rey, you can't do this. He said, "I was afraid. I felt fear." And I'm like, in my mind, thinking about it now, it's like, well, yeah, maybe he knew about Palpatine. He's like, if all him and his father did to try and destroy Palpatine and it didn't work, it's like, yikes. Not only is Palpatine still around, but like I can't even train new generation of Jedi. I should be scared and afraid. But like again, none of that comes out in The Last Jedi. And as again, the complaint about a serial arc of a trilogy here, we just skip over like the second film just like does not lead into the third. Like we have this giant gap now that like, wait,
Yeah.
we missed some stuff here.
So okay, happy vibes.
Yeah.
Happy beeps.
Oh, yes.
Happy beeps. C-3PO.
C-3PO, dude, getting some shine, baby.
I
Great.
thought he was fantastic in this
awesome.
movie.
He's awesome.
And like even going back and watching Empire, And him being like, turn around, Chewbacca. I can't see. Like, it's almost in every Star Wars movie, there's like a C-3PO moment. I'm like, God, you just have to. And sometimes it works. Like, I love when he interrupts, Han and Leia and Empire. And I totally forgot his moment in Force Awakens where he's like, Han Solo, like pops out. Han's like, are you serious, dude? I haven't seen her in years. And God, you probably didn't recognize me with my red arm. Like, it's almost like every time they try to do C-3PO, they're just like poking and prodding, like, how much can you take? And of course, I think Attack of the Clones is like the worst he gets. So this is such a drag. Like, like there are moments where you just please shut up, dude, please. And I think this might be his best movie. Like he's just he's so wonderful, and
he's great. I think he's good in 4 too.
And I think it was so funny them setting up. I don't know about him not being able to read Sith language. Whatever, we'll move past that. But like them setting up, the fact that he's going to have his mind wiped. And I remember, like, I went through this emotional thing where I'm like, I should have known kind of that's what we were going for. And maybe that's why they had to do it, some sort of translation thing. And just the moments where he's just like, and now it exists only in my memory. And they're like, see, it's like, that's him. And that's droids in general. Like, it's tough to deal with these droids because they have their own logic systems. They have their own way of thinking. R2 has his own way of thinking, but not everybody understands him all the time. And R2's very sneaky. Like he keeps the cards sneaky, close to his chest. Because he only trusts himself in a lot of situations. And then I realized, like, oh, God, like while they were actually doing what Babu Frick's working on, I'm like, it's a ruse because he's not going to remember now, and that's going to be hilarious. Then he's like, oh, we met with Babu Frick. Oh, he's my oldest friend. And then like, oh, you won't trust R2's memory banks, and we already had it loaded up because R2's not an idiot. And then he's just like, wait, come here.
I mean, that was just a great payoff. When he runs back into R2 and goes, Art, I've never met you and stuff. And then he goes, what? You want to do what to me? Absolutely not. Instant cut right to being
even C-3PO, like, right before they do it, he was like, oh, I have another idea. I felt like JJ was like testing how much we love C-3PO, and realizing like he's still gonna make it even after potentially Rey and Poe and Finn are gone. He's still gonna be around to be in C-3PO, man. Like he and Chewie are maybe gonna go on an adventure together
Chewie,
or something.
My boy.
And
dude, when I thought he died for a second, I was like, no, Chewie, my boy.
Yeah, I kind of.
But it was like,
did you buy it?
Kind of, but I was like, it was too like fast for them really linger on it.
Yeah, like even the first teaser trailer or whatever, because I didn't watch the last trailer, but one of the ones I'd seen before had a shot. I was like, they haven't shown this yet, so I don't think he's dead. But hey, maybe they shot a scene exclusive for the trailer. They really hadn't done that, so I was like, dang.
And they're also playing to we lost Han in episode 7. We lost Luke in episode 8. Who's it gonna be? I
was questioning it. I was like, okay, that might be it. Like maybe they are. Everyone's gonna die. Even like Lando's
when
gonna die.
When the Knights of Red peeked out, I was like, you're not gonna do it. You don't have the balls to do it. And just off screen, like
Chewie.
Just the I didn't. But and Chewie, I thought was great. Chewie learning about Leia.
He's the best, dude. Chewie, man.
I love one of the last shots in the movie when they're like in the forest. Chewie literally is like, yeah. He puts his hand up like we did it.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Got the medal, dude.
The biggest positive in this film for me.
How did Maz know about that?
I don't know.
Maz was not. Okay, well, let's dig into that though. Maz was not at that ceremony, so Chewie told Maz. Yeah. That was literally Chewie at some point.
I'm gonna get a medal, man.
Yeah, because she says to him, I was there. Because she says to him in 7, she's like, "Where's my boyfriend? I love that Wookiee." So like they had a friendship. It's like we were joking about all of the affection shown at the end. The 3 of them hugging was really great, and people were joking about Poe and Finn, like they should have made out. And then there was the 2 ladies kissing, which was lovely. And but like my friends and I were like, I would have loved it if literally like Maz went up and was like, "Congrats, Chewie," and he was like, "Hey, come in here, baby."
I was like, yeah, we're gonna get this, aren't we? Here we go.
Or like 2 aliens of different races making out. How cool would that have been?
Well, we got what's his face? Forget the actor's name from Lord of the Rings. Played
Mary.
Hugging the slug thing or whatever. Yeah.
What the hell? Why was he in the movie?
I don't know. He's a big
Is
fan.
that some deleted scene?
Wasn't he on Lost?
Yeah.
He's like
he's probably close to actors.
He's probably close with JJ.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, like he literally was like there to like point out to, "Hi, are you a dumb audience member? Let me remind you about this thing right here." I was like, okay.
Say what you want. I know there's I mentioned this to a couple people and they were just like, "I don't like Rose. Forget Rose." And it's like, well, yeah, but that was a setup. That was maybe the biggest. F you to Ryan of this
Yeah.
this relationship
Like they
with
just,
Finn?
like,
because I was not a
underutilized.
fan of Finn getting knocked out. I think one of my biggest gripes from Last Jedi is Rose knocks out Finn, they crash, and then you have this incredible one of the moments I think I go when more and more I go back to I like more and more and more just this standoff between Luke and the AT-ATs between Luke and Kylo. The whole time that's happening, Rose is like dragging Finn. Like
Finn's dragging Rose.
through the Finn's dragging Rose through the sand,
Like, it
just
took
like
you
or through the
so-
salt. Like, don't mind us. Got to get back to the base.
And it
Don't
took,
mind
like,
us.
10
It's like we
minutes
don't
to get
see
to
it
the end.
obviously, but you know it happens. So it's just like the logistics of a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff are
Yeah.
weird. And so it's the kind of thing where it's like Jar Jar. It's like, okay, if you're gonna bring him back in Attack of the Clones, there's got to be something happening with this guy. There's got to be a reason he's coming back. And they JJ was just like, I don't like Rose. That's a Ryan Johnson
She
thing.
was
And it was like, I'm not saying
Well-
I have ideas of what you could have done with her character, but he definitely was just,
At least
nah.
she, like, their relationship. Well, first of all, I don't buy their relationship at all that they were supposed to have. Like, that was the most forced bullshit relationship ever in a movie.
It was weird.
It was super weird. Zero chemistry, Jones. Zero. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. They don't got feelings for each other. Like, whatever. That was just a thing. But, like, at least she was there, like, shooting and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, she was in it, but it's like him being like, no, Finn's not. It was like, oh, is Finn gonna end up with Rey? Like, no. It's like, oh, maybe he'll end up with Rose. No.
No.
And then it's like, oh, but we got this new
Girl.
character. They're both stormtroopers. They have this connection. Like, oh, really interested to see what they do with her. And like, it's like she brought the
Those are spin-offs,
She brought the
Jones.
horses in,
Those
but
are spin-offs.
oh, is that Disney Plus? It's coming. Okay, cool.
Not even, like, there's going to be so many more movies now. Like, because, you're going to get your Poe with the bounty hunter movie, whatever her name was again. They, like,
Sure.
set up little things to go on.
Poe's going back to Spice Running. But especially for Rose fans out there that are watching this,
Yeah.
like, just got to give a shout out to her that, they did not, she got that screenplay and was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And especially her spending so much time with Mary, like, Dominic, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but, yeah. And there was this one moment in the end when they're all cheering when he's like, yay. And I'm like, what did you do in this movie?
Wasn't he on? They were on the Star Destroyers, too.
They were,
all
but
shooting.
he just didn't. It was just it was
Yeah,
weird
they
that
were
they
like minor
needed.
rules.
They couldn't have given his dialogue to Rose.
Sure.
They couldn't have had her
Totally. I
facilitate
understand
that.
that.
That was strange.
Showbiz, baby.
And the other guy from Lost when he gets taken out, it's like no,
Oh.
the guy from Alias, no. Oh no, he wasn't on Lost. He was from Alias. That's
Oh, okay.
yeah. So yeah, we done with C-3PO. Is there anything? I have other jolly stuff to bring up, but I can't remember if there's any other just specific C-3PO moments. I feel bad for Dio. Dio just didn't really.
That new droid.
He was kind of fun. He had some fun comedic moments, but like didn't.
I thought it was gonna play a more significant role in terms of like it was gonna speak something that like oh,
I mean, he
Rey.
did off screen.
Yeah, but it's like I thought like Ray was gonna talk with it and be like, Ray, and like, wait, how do you know my name and stuff? It's like, oh, you're droid on the ship with my parents. Oh,
maybe like plays back a
like
message.
I thought it
from
was gonna
parents,
be done
yeah.
like on screen, like something a little bit more like
Yeah.
sentimental like that. But like it was just literally just there because they want to sell that toy.
Yeah.
It's like
No, it was just market.
And
placement,
it
yeah.
was a fun
Just like
idea though to
Captain
give
Phasma.
to give a droid a human. I mean, obviously C-3PO can talk and others, but just like give a droid this very simple phrase by phrase, speech, and it's just adorable. He gets his wheel back, and he's
Rolling
like,
around.
"All right." And kudos again for somebody who appreciates so much practical effects. Babu was a puppet the entire time.
Yeah.
And that he was actually, I'm sure CG a lot, just like BB-8 was, but they were both on the red carpet, like getting pictures
Yeah,
taken.
that's cool.
So like that was the thing. It was like it's got to be a wheel and a thing on a wheel, and it's got to stand. Like it's got to be weighted enough that this thing can actually operate and move. And so like I appreciate that. I love that. I love when special effects people are challenged in that way. But I just feel bad because it's like BB-8 comes out, BB-8, we love BB-8, and then like BD-1 with Fallen Order, and then Baby Yoda, and just like all these new like cute things, and Babu Frick, and just like poor Dio's like, no love for Dio. Dio's not trending right
No
now.
love for Dio. Sorry,
love for
Dio.
Dio.
There's
Sorry,
too much
Dio.
going on, man.
We haven't really specifically gone into Kylo, and I actually that was just another thing that I really liked. I think my favorite moment from the movie, looking back, driving home by myself at 2:30 in the morning, cruising down the 405, going home, and just like, okay, what did I really like? And I'm like, you know what I liked? That I actually don't. I hate this from Luke. I know a lot of people like that in Last Jedi. To me, it's nice shot, Kate. Don't get cocky. It's Luke being cocky, and like to me, the end of Last Jedi is not a cockiness. This is him being assured. This is him being like, I'm going to stand here. This is samurai. I'm going to stand here and just hit me with your best shot because I'm not even here. Spoilers. But I loved not only him pulling out the lightsaber, but then all the Knights around are like, wait, what? And he does this like, what are you gonna do? Like, hey, I got a lightsaber now. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I was
You're
like,
dead.
wow, what a weird thing to do. And I'm like, oh, that's Han. That's Han. He gets the blaster and it's like, bam, bam. It's like, oh, this is Ben. This is Han's
Ben
son. We
Solo.
never really get to see him. And like thinking back on him, like raging out on trying to be Vader and trying to fit this role when like he never knew Vader. He is distancing himself from his father. He does not have a father figure, or really like, he can't please Snoke, and Snoke's really not really there half the time.
Yeah.
And so it's just this rage in him of like, I don't get what I'm doing wrong. I don't get why people respect me. I don't get why I can't, I want to just do things myself, which is why like the movie starts and he's just doing it himself. They're like, he's Supreme Chancellor now. And like, oh, cool. I'm going to see him doing a big Hux speech, or I'm going to see him guiding the troops. And it's like, no, man, he's out
out on the battlefield.
He's out, taking the law into his own hands, and he's going to go kill Palpatine. And Palpatine's like, I can give you power. And he's like, I don't care. I'm going to kill you. I am going to be the only Sith. I'm going to be, the most powerful person.
So happy we finally got a Sith like temple thing in a movie. Finally.
Oh yeah, just the lightning and the sound effects
we've
and everything.
Never
and,
gotten anything like this, man.
and even just, I ultimately was kind of disappointed in just the appearance of Palpatine. Like I wasn't like scared of him, but like, man, when that elevator first drops and I'm like, getting cozy for the movie, like, here we go. He's like, at last. I was like, that. Oh, I got shivers, and then the shivers went away. But I wasn't intimidated by him. And like I just saw Return of the Jedi, and it's interesting that Palpatine's a lot like goofier than I remember. Like one line, now that everything's in gorgeous 4K and just I'm watching it on much bigger television, like one line that I didn't realize was as campy as he delivers it is he's like, he will come before you and then you will bring him before me. He literally delivers it like that. Like he's just goofing like the entire movie because he's cocky, because he knows he's like, you don't know what I know. I got this whole thing set up. Trust me. He just underestimates the Ewoks, baby. But I just never had that, like, yeah, Palpatine. I just never, even the lightning, like, I was just kind of waiting to see where it went, but there was no moment. And maybe, again, none of us have seen it a second time. I'll probably go back, and knowing what's going to happen, I'll be able to kind of drink up some moments while they're happening, because I'm not just like, where is this going to go? And I messaged this to Ian, who knew he wasn't going to be here for the spoiler mode. And so he, like, the moment after that next morning, I get the message from Ian. He's like, okay, what'd you think? Let's talk about it. And I told him, like, the chanting Sith mob was very Dark Souls.
Sure.
All those guys in robes.
I was into it, dude.
I wonder what that was. My friend theorized
acolytes.
that might have been like fallen Sith, maybe like spirits of fallen Sith, or like
could be.
Maybe those are the guys that built that restored all of, developed the technology of the star destroying planets, the planet destroyers.
Yeah, I thought it was just Palpatine summoning like spirits of like dead past Sith or something, because he was super all powerful. He's like, all the like 1,000 generations of Sith live inside me, so he's just like conjuring them. I could be completely wrong. I mean,
well, if Rey can reach out to all of these former Jedi, maybe he can. If he did the same. But I mean, that was intimidating. Echoes of Geonosians, in Attack of the Clones. It was just had the same kind of vibe. Of just like, look at this crowd that's not there.
It's also very much like the Harry Potter or the Fantastic Beasts, where like Voldemort has like, or whatever, has all the people around him
Johnny Depp?
encircling
Grindelwald.
him. Yeah,
Grindelwald.
That's jeez. Yeah,
come on, man.
Like all them,
I forgot his name.
they're just like all there chanting and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, there you go. Like this is,
and that's the thing. Like the end, like did have the
imagery,
makings of just like. Is it my friend Mike Buddy, who some of you might know from like Game Trailers days? I saw that with him, and at the end, he's like, it was very dark, and I was like, it was about darkness. I don't know, there was no moment where I was like, whoa, it's so dark. It was presented that way, but there was just no, I don't hate it. I'm not like, I didn't watch the Emperor scenes like angry or anything. It's just there was no real Emperor moment where I was like, whoa. And especially with, again, talking about these like weird power level struggles, in her, like, was it moving to hear Qui-Gon speak? Of course, like it was really fun booting up my, phone at the end and being like, oh, they got Freddie Prinze Jr. Cool, or like Olivia Diabo, I believe, is not around anymore. And she voiced, that Ahsoka was in there. It's like just a lot of, it was an interesting collection of voice actors. Obviously, Alec Guinness is no longer with us, and it was neat, like kind of repurposing, his voice for that. Hayden Christensen. Like it was neat having them in there, speaking to her. But again, just this like, okay, now that suddenly makes me all powerful. You compare that to like something that I understand so much more clearly in that, again, Yoda escaping, Luke just throwing the lightsaber down and staring at the Emperor and being like, you know what, kill me, I don't care. Like, to me, that is such a more impactful demonstration of strength than just like, now I got 2 lightsabers, a bunch of Jedi just talked to me. You got a cool shot flying through the fleet and looking at lightning and up in the stars. It's the callback to that struggle that I had at the beginning when I was training. Now I'm able to, destroy the Emperor, and like, okay. It just doesn't.
She found the will.
It's
dude.
neat. The music's swell and everything, but like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not like, oh, you did that thing. It's like, sure. If she literally if 10 X-wings flew in and blew up the Emperor, it would make as much sense to me. I'd be like, fine. If Poe just suddenly was like, oh, I forgot I have the magma bomb and just dropped it on the Emperor, I'd be like, sure. It has the same kind of like, if you say so. But it's not, it doesn't, I just don't feel it in the same way. And to say nothing to Daisy Ridley's performance, which is amazing, to say nothing of, Kylo leading up to that moment, and especially his sacrifice at the end, all of that is wonderful. The fight on the Death Star, so cool, and her, this new ability, her demonstration of the Force and healing things. I was like, cool, I dig it. It's like, demonstrating, her just even calming animals was not something, there was something we get into in Clone Wars and other stuff, but and Rebels, and not really something we get into. Luke certainly doesn't learn how to do that when he's dealing with the Wampa or the Sarlacc.
No.
That's an interesting Jedi ability. So I'm a huge fan of exploring new avenues, new power levels that Jedi can do. It's just if it doesn't, her healing things, that makes sense. Her suddenly having 2 lightsabers and soaking up lightning. I saw Yoda do it, but it just, that lightning took out a fleet, and she's literally just like, no, I could stop it with a blade. Like, sure.
Hey, man, just what happened to him in Revenge of the Sith. That's how he got all deformed. Same fucking thing.
Yeah, was that?
Yes, Mace Windu reflects it with his lightsaber.
Yeah, but you see him deformed before then.
No, that's when he gets deformed.
And then he makes the thing in the Senate like that. My encounters left me deformed and stuff.
It's
but
from
my
that.
resolve is unchanged or whatever.
Interesting, because I thought like in the moments when you see like the projection and you see his face under there, I thought he had a little bit of that. But no, okay, well, all right.
Looked cool when he got disintegrated, though. I was like, oh,
that did look cool. I felt bad. I was wondering if there are any like 8-year-olds out there who were like, that was very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, it was.
And I wonder if it's just this like clear, definitive, like he's out. He's out. We microwave the guy.
For sure.
He is absolutely toast. There's nothing left of him. But at the same time, you have this moment. I don't remember who says it. Or I know. I think it's Mary who says like, he's like, wow, the Emperor's back. How did he do that? And he's like, I don't know, clones, something. He was doing other stuff. It's like, what if he made another clone on some planet somewhere? Or something?
That's not a.
It doesn't have.
Yeah, it's not a clone. He is, by the way. It is his body.
Really?
And it's reanimated within a machine.
Okay.
Apparently.
How do we know that?
Exactly.
They don't. If they don't explain it, which I guess it does have a mystery to it, but because they don't explain it, it kind of takes away.
It makes it
some of the impact of his quote unquote death.
They don't.
I saw that guy thrown into the center of a machine that they then exploded, and that wasn't enough. And so it's like, well. How do we,
the whole like Darth Plagueis learned to save life thing. Well, it's like okay, I guess.
Yeah, like I was even that. I was like expecting like that to be invoked, like the Plagueis stuff. Like, oh, I found a way to cheat death. But it's like if you've watched the whole movies, that might be implied now. Oh, he did figure it out.
And what you're saying with his corpse,
Shang Tsung thing, he seals their souls. Like, which
again is a power thing that their bond has or even that Palpatine and Vader would have a bond to begin with. It's like, he trained him, but like, why would they're not related? Why would they? It makes sense when
student master, I guess. I don't know.
It makes sense. It makes sense that Luke and Leia have a bond because they're brother sister. It makes sense that Vader and Luke have a bond, father son. But again, just something I'm told, and not necessarily something like, oh, good point.
Sure.
It's just like, all right, I have to just type that into the wiki now because they said it.
Yeah, you're talking about Kylo Ren. And like the
best
alluded
part
to
of
the sacrifice.
trilogy.
Real quick, after the film, a friend of mine who saw it with he didn't care about spoilers, so he read all the leaks and stuff like the leaked earlier versions of the script, and he was telling me some stuff that didn't make it in there that was the original version, or stuff they added in to counter it. An original version apparently when Kylo gets thrown down by the Emperor or by Palpatine into that like pit, that's it. He doesn't come back. He's dead. That's how he dies. Or how he died in the OG version of the script.
That's like a George Lucas thing.
Yeah,
That's like Luke, that was Luke,
that's Mace Windu style.
Yeah, it was Lucas's
I wonder
version.
if it makes a lot of sense to me that he comes back not only for them to have this beautiful moment, but the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the sacrifice.
Yeah,
That's
like
literally
redemption,
that's literally him
it was
pulling
great
himself
because
back.
there was like I was like, there's this movie. Like I have some problems. I have problems with this movie, but like it will be irredeemable if they give him his redemption includes he gets to come back and like live with everyone, be happy. It's like no, not after what you've done and shit. Like
well, that's
you
how I
don't
felt
get
at the end
that.
of 7. I was
Yeah.
like, "There's no way he's making it out of this."
Oh, yeah.
you know.
So what he did
because
is,
Vader
like,
killed people,
yeah.
but nobody like Han. Like that's such a betrayal. Hey, now that we have invoked the smuggler, what do we feel about that random cameo?
Oh, like the Force thing?
Him just showing up.
Yeah.
The memory.
I was cool with it. Like, I'm not exactly sure all the way what Leia did, but she got through to Kylo.
Yeah.
Like with her last thing of life, I guess,
Yeah.
like that.
Which I think this trilogy kind of spoke to a little bit. That's like almost kind of like a Jedi thing. That like. Obi-Wan sacrificed himself so that they could escape the Death Star. That, Kylo sacrifices himself so that Rey can live. Leia sacrifices herself so that she can finally get to Kylo. And Luke sacrifices himself so that, it's like, it's because I remember feeling at the end of Last Jedi, I was like, that really took it out of him that much? And I think it's less of, I was so strained that I can't live anymore. It's like, it's time for me to move on. It's time for me to pass on to another plane of existence, to join the hallowed halls of Jedi long past. And I saw a lot of people complaining that they're like, at the end, when you see Luke and Leia together, you don't see Kylo there. And it's like, maybe Kylo's figuring it out, man. Maybe he's on some crazy cosmic journey, just exploring the Force now, exploring the light side. He's been away for a while. Maybe he doesn't know how to do that.
They can bring him back, too. He can come back.
Apparently they can bring anybody back.
They can.
Yeah.
You just gotta, one scene, or maybe even no scene.
It's been
was like,
established in other things.
even just
Oh,
the beginning.
Yeah,
Even just the beginning, they were just like, dude, I got a phone message from the Emperor, and it's like, can we hear that? I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear.
You had to play Fortnite. It was in Fortnite. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even
the
kidding.
Emperor's message.
Yes, it was in Fortnite when they did the event. Yes, I'm not even kidding. How crazy is that, dude? What an age we live in, dude.
All right. Okay.
I'm not kidding.
Man.
I'm sorry, Star Wars fans. I betrayed you. I missed out. I mean, it was that
I didn't listen to it, but I heard about it.
they were going to show a scene, and I didn't want to see
I
that
didn't want to see
scene.
it, but I heard about
Now
it.
I'm actually curious what
Man,
what scene that was.
I do want to say something really positive about this, and I think a lot of people, at least I hope everyone saw it, agrees with this. Knocked it out of the park with Leia in this film, exceeded my expectations. With when I heard we're gonna do something with her, but I thought it was gonna be super minor, maybe Rey hugs her in that one scene in the trailer, that's it, they're gonna leave and bye,
She's in the forest, and it kind of looks like
But her-
episode 7 when they're
Yes.
there, and so it's like, okay,
but making her Rey's new master and her training her and training her in the proper ways of the Force after just had a little time with Luke but couldn't learn everything. That was so good. And then sending her to go get Rey to get Leia's lightsaber. It's like, okay, this is really good. I was like, I could use way more of this and stuff. And I was very impressed with what they did with Leia in this film.
I like the story beats. I got to be honest, Damiani, I was incredibly uncomfortable whenever she was on screen. It was
because of.
Because it. It's like, I know she's not there. It reminded me of Sopranos. It reminded me. I mean, think about Avatar. Think about losing Mako. I always pronounce it wrong. Mako. Losing that actor. The Matrix. In the Matrix, losing the Oracle between 2 and 3. And I'm not saying 2 and 3 are great movies, but them realizing we got to cast a new actress. We got to do something. And it's like. I'm not going to attempt to rewrite episode 9, but I just think it would have been a little more respectable if she had passed between films and they start episode 9 and she's gone and Rey keeps talking about, I've been training this whole time with her, and maybe just talks to her voice. You get another actress to come in, or you have those lines, and then it's not her actual dying moment where she reaches out to Kylo. She's already gone. It's her trying to communicate, maybe even sees her. Maybe even Kylo looks past Rey and there's Leia. But to me, that would have honored her memory even more by from the get-go, everyone saying she's gone. And I understand, this is just my thing, man. Like, this is just me. Rogue One was so difficult to watch in parts because I just knew it wasn't there, you know? And like, when I know it's not there, when I know, like, even some of the jankiness that they had with Babu Frick, like, it just has so much more of an impact because I know he is there.
Yeah.
And every time, especially with her, like, she like walks away and like someone has to explain it. They're like, oh, it was like Shakespeare. It was like, the mother has gone and is making this sacrifice. And I'm telling you this because she didn't record this line before she died. It was just like so obvious. And anytime like there'd be some like stand-in actor and they would like look over her shoulder, it was just like, oh man, it's so... And that's just my thing. That's just like I wish I didn't have it. You know, I wish I could just shake
Jones,
that off.
I think it didn't bother as much because I'm just used to it now with Star Wars and stuff like that. Like just dead characters being there. There was just more than I expected of her.
Yeah.
There was way more than I thought.
Yeah.
And I love her being a part of it, you know?
Totally.
And I liked the lightsaber. I just wish maybe that was kind of seated or earlier, or like, you know, like maybe like Luke looks at it in Last Jedi or something, or it makes it, you know, it's like
totally.
that was so quick, you know? And again, like you were saying with the flashback, I was like, oh, you know, even though it's like young Luke and, you know, CG young Luke and CG Leia are like a little weird looking, but I was still like, here we go. Oh man, I hope we get a ton of this. I hope, you know, for the next 20 minutes, Luke just like goes through all these memories and all this stuff that they did together. Because that was that was news, you know, that Leia did backflips, you know, that like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, because even in her you know, kind of Force moment in Last Jedi, to me was like, oh, that's a jump, you know, like I didn't know that she could do that. And just kind of the way it was staged, I thought was just like a little much. And was it me or did Luke look weird as a ghost? When he's on the island, that looked a little.
I don't know.
That was a little strange.
I don't know. They just looked like more bright, I guess.
Just the way it was shot, yeah.
Because I'm used to the older ghosts, I guess, maybe, you know, just older tech. I don't know.
And like I dug him pulling the X-wing out. I think it kind of reflected a lot on
it was the whole Yoda moment.
Of course,
yeah.
And I
smirk.
It was just a lot. The smirk. Because his smirk is thank you.
He's like, I did it.
And that's the thing. I think that's how I feel about the entire movie. Is like, I wish he didn't smirk. I wish you didn't literally just like put in the CD player and cue up the exact same track
music,
from it. You know, that you didn't. Well, like it's the same track, but we're gonna play with a different instrument or something. It was literally like the same moment. And like, I like that he does it. It's just played to such. I like that Lando's there in the end. He just doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of like, ha ha. Like, that's all. He just kind of giggles. Like, I don't know. It just, I wish there was just more, you know, it was more intricate or more detailed or more fleshed out. I don't know. It seemed the whole thing had a camp to it that certainly I can celebrate as a Star Wars fan. And 10 years from now, I will go back and revisit, not, you know, for a second time. I'm going to watch it. I think we already have tickets for like, you know, the day after Christmas. But, you know, when I return to this film, I will appreciate things a lot more. And I certainly appreciate it as just this incredibly grand celebration of all things Star Wars. I don't fault him for trying to put everything in there. I don't fault him for trying to put in those Leia scenes. You know, obviously having her hug Leia has, you know, incredible impact to me. Seeing all of them, you know, standing over the shroud is, of course, having Poe, speaking to her in the past, being like, you know, tell me how to do this, and then asking Lando, you know, because she's not there. All of that is tremendous meaning for me on paper, just how it's presented before anyone starts talking, but just kind of like the way the music swept up and the way the dialogue was written was just a little too much.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was also happy that I got to see the core trio together a lot.
Yeah,
seeing Poe, Finn, and Rey all together, and that they've been fighting together. Well, even the fact that they even point out, like, "Hey, Rey, it's great that you're training, but like, we could really use you out there."
And Finn even agrees.
Yeah, remember how you were complaining about Luke not doing anything? It's like, hey, same thing, you know, like, but like, I like that they cared about each other and stuff. I feel like I'm a little bit crazy. I feel like there's a point though where I was getting maybe too much of it. Like they were always together, and I was loving it, but I was like, they're gonna be together the whole film, right? They're just gonna all be together and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is good. I guess I'm trying to decide whether or not I feel like I felt like Poe had a lot of great moments in the film, a lot of great interactions. I feel like Rey had a lot of great stuff, and like again, like Kylo is one of the best characters in the trilogy, and I think Rey is like right behind. Like the two and their two interactions are like the best thing.
It's their trilogy, and I enjoyed their story for the most part throughout the entire thing.
And I'm just trying to like decide whether or not like I feel like they did Finn justice or not in this film.
He was super cocky at the beginning, and I was like,
Yeah.
I wonder where this is going. And then it just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, he did stuff in the end, but like
Yeah.
he didn't necessarily have like a character arc or
His
even just kind of like a
Like
journey.
like they had moments where like I'm very minor force sensitive here, so like I could sense this and stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe we're gonna get like bigger stuff with this, and I feel like maybe he didn't have the best payoff in the end. Whereas like Poe, you get I keep forgetting the characters that you all both know so well that like. The like on the planet and stuff, like his old crew he ran with and stuff, and then like all that story, and then like the end, you know, the payoff with that, and then also his development with Leia, like Leia's gone, and like you're just talking about,
You just think he got enough?
yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like maybe
Zori.
they like had so many characters in this film to wrap up stuff to like, oh, Finn's probably we're gonna put him lower down on the list, even though he's like a big character and stuff. It's like
Yeah,
no.
his whole like story, I guess, was just running from the Empire.
Yeah.
And like, or the first story and then becoming a rebel. And like, that was his arc in the first movie.
And I did.
And it's like 2, his spinning wheels, his whole story. And 3, he did like more at least that had an impact on stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's totally more room to do stuff with him.
Well, there's 2 things that were a little weird to me. When he finds out the horse rider tribe that they were also former stormtroopers, and I'm like, oh, this is great. He's got this great bonding, and he do this, and they go and fight. But I was like, is there any more to this? Like, is this where he's from or something, or we're just never gonna know? And then there's a thing with Lando. It felt like,
With the girl.
yeah, like there was supposed to be
Let's
a big
find out.
reveal there, and I'm like,
that was odd.
I was like, wait,
If,
what?
if not borderline uncomfortable.
yeah, I was like, wait, what does this
you know
really
her?
mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a scoundrel. So,
I-
just young girl being like, I want to go on a journey. And he's like, hey, I got an open cockpit. Come on, baby. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, what? Especially with him being like, he's like, say hi to Leia for
I
me.
thought he was gonna like talk to. I thought it was gonna be him, her, and
I mean, come on. Like,
yeah, her and Finn there or something.
he
like,
hits on her
hey.
like 6 times in
Yeah.
Empire. Like, there's a precedent for that.
Totally.
My
Or
friend-
they raise line like, you could go tell her herself
My
you
friend,
love
when
her.
we were like walking back to the parking lot, was like, "I'm pretty much confirmed now that in the 3 months that Han was in Carbonite, they had sex." He's like, "It's clear to me more than ever."
Yeah.
Like he took
Yeah,
advantage.
I think dumb they just left stuff open ended for the future.
I guess my question is, do you think that they're gonna come back and explore some of these characters again, the newer characters? Like their story is not done.
Oh
That
yeah,
they
not
make
in like a 10.
No,
but, you know,
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna
another-
do that.
yeah.
But like they're gonna go Marvel style, like they're each individual movies. They might meet up in another movie or something like that.
which I'm like kind of ready for because I think it's how I feel about Mandalorian. It's how I feel about the shows going back, and I've watched 1.5 seasons of Rebels, but I'm really looking forward to finishing it. Clone Wars is that they didn't necessarily feel the necessity to have 10,000 Star Destroyers, to have the Emperor be more powerful than anyone ever has in this entire story, to break down and introduce interesting characters like Zeb, from Rebels. Just like it's a fascinating story. It's just really neat to see his journey, and so that's what I'm ready for. I'm like happy it's all resolved, and then we can kind of put this new trilogy behind us now, so we can focus on some of these smaller stories. Almost the same thing with Marvel as well, with Endgame. It's like, okay, some of these shows now look really interesting. I'm curious to see where we go. Another thing that broke my damn heart, that I hate to say, because again I feel that the way it was presented was a celebration of the entire series, but I couldn't help but think like, man, you gotta calm down and slow down with some of this stuff. Was the music was just very jukebox. It was it was almost like everyone had like a ringtone of their theme, and like they got a call every time they walked into a scene. It was like, oh, here's Leia's theme. Let's Leia's theme. Oh, he's bringing the X-wing out of we gotta play Yoda's theme. And then like, oh, I just saw Return of the Jedi, and they like walk into the throne room. It's like, oh, gotta play the track when Vader died. And not only like that piece of music reorchestrated, like that piece of music verbatim, and it was just that again and again and again and again. It was like not a prologue, but the when you see I can't remember the name of it. When you go see a musical, when you're waiting for the show to start, like they'll play like a medley of
and they used to do it for old movies.
right, yeah, when the credits would roll, like, and so it's just like, here's a collection of most of the themes that you're gonna hear, and then okay, time to start the show. The whole movie felt like that. It was just like nothing. There was no like flow to it. It was really kind of hard to parse like what Williams wrote for this movie, or if he just kind of reproduced a lot of the stuff that he had done before. And this is 10 out of 10 music. It's like, I'm not complaining about the actual music. It just was presented in such a way. Case in point, like in young Anakin's theme in episode 1, he kind of took Vader's theme, took the Empire theme, and just like retooled it a little bit. And just nothing was really retooled in this. It was just like clunk, just kind of put out there. And so, not to just have another 500 things to gripe about, but that was consistent, and it was hard for me to kind of look past. And
I felt a little
ignore.
bit of that. Maybe not as much as you, Jones, but I definitely felt a little bit of that going through the film. Music-related thing, my real hard biggest disappointment in this film is I was told all the music's going to be here, and I didn't hear Duel of the Fates. I wanted Duel of the Fates.
They had...
I wanted it during like the Kylo and Rey fight. I was like here, like on the Death Star in the water.
Yeah.
I was like in the waves. I was like, it's happening now. Like, give it to me just a little bit. I just need like 30 seconds. That's all I need.
They had it in one. There was one promo they had that ended it. Dun 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 dun. Dun. It was like, wait, what? Whoa!
And didn't get it. I get it. It's a dumb complaint, but
Yeah.
like, hey,
It's not a dumb complaint.
To me, that's like
this is spoiler mode, man. We're here for dumb complaints.
This is the fan service thing I wanted out of this film. Like,
Fair.
I know this film's gonna probably be goofy, so like, just give me that one thing. Just give me that one morsel, and like, it'll go down so much better.
My
And I didn't get
headcanon
it.
was like that's just like an Obi-Wan and Darth Maul kind of thing, and that's about it. It's with them.
It lived with them. It'll die with them.
Yeah.
It's okay though.
Oh, but yeah, I did love the Kylo Ren, the end of him, how it went down. Good
Yeah.
sacrifice, Force
Yeah.
Ghost.
And their kiss and everything. Like, I just think there was a very honest and I don't know, enjoyable sentimentality to the whole thing.
I did like that they were linked still throughout this movie. Like when she gave him the lightsaber.
and they evolved that.
Yeah,
you know,
that was
like
sick.
actually clashing the
was a
lightsabers
good-
and looking at them.
Hey,
I like that.
Yes.
Again, everything I'm talking about with Leia having force powers, with Leia having a lightsaber, loved her lightsaber at the end. It's like black but yellow, and it was like, yeah, she built it.
First yellow in a movie. that I
Him
can recall.
deciding, I can recall.
it.
Attack of the Clones is like a rainbow of lightsabers.
Is there any
but
yellow
yeah.
ones in there though?
I'm sure. There's got to
know
somebody's got to
about
have a
that.
yellow one in
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Check us. Yeah, check us in the comments. But what all of these things, I don't like that. I'm not frustrated that they were included. I love that Leia had a lightsaber. I love that she force trained with Luke. How awesome is that? I want a whole movie of just them force training. It's just you look at something like the development of their connection. Them, sensing. You go from the moment of stopping her in the forest and force grabbing her and being like, the girl that I've heard so much about, and him trying to read her mind in Force Awakens and her being like, no. Oh, look at you. You're scared of not being Darth Vader. And he's like, what? No. And it's like, oh, okay. A little tete-a-tete. This is great. And then, like, them having this relationship, him taking his shirt off, and then what are you going to do about it? Like, she's like, please, just get out of my head. And then actually having this connection where you can see that shock where they both feel of like, and him betraying her, kind of similar to how like Luke betrays Leia in Return when he just thinks about Leia and he's like, oh, you have a sister, okay. And her like getting so angry she knocks the helmet on the floor and he's like, oh, you're in my room, you're in my bedroom, it developed so wonderfully throughout the 3 films and had such a fun conclusion that like when they add something of him saying like that lightsaber's mine, and then at the end she's like, all right, there you go, there's your
give it
lightsaber,
back
and he's
to
like,
him.
oh, thanks, like
Finally got to use
then
it.
I will use this lightsaber that has been passed down in my family to whoop the Knights of Ren's ass and to do my best to fight, do what my ancestors did and try to stop the Emperor. That had such a wonderful development that, again, it's as wonderful as it is that Leia had these powers and that Leia had a lightsaber. It's given 15 seconds, and it's just like, I just wish it had more development, wish it had more time.
Needed to be like a 4-hour movie.
Or just cut all of the weird, fish concert, like all the weird like elephant people, just like,
Sure.
Oh yeah,
is this I guess Ewoks kinda or her like
how it felt like
40, every 42 years. The 42 years since A New Hope. That's the whole thing about it.
go on?
It's like just like a celebration of Star Wars. Like that's how long it's been.
Oh, okay.
That's what, like every 42 years, something like that. And it's like it's been 42 years since A New Hope.
and just and I also feel that was just like the desperateness that I'm sure every director, anybody who gets involved in Star Wars, is like, what can I show you that you haven't seen before?
Yeah.
Jetpack, launchpad, motorcycles. Okay, them grabbing a ship. Although we saw it in Force Awakens.
Lightspeed jump hopping
Or Force Unleashed.
at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Them doing that, just like it was literally just gaming Guardians of the Galaxy.
Why did you
when
have
they
to bring that?
when they're like doing those like quick jumps, it was like, oh wow, Disney Marvel. Okay, yeah, they're just literally just let's throw something in there we've done before, and it makes.
I was wondering how the TIE fighters followed him.
Because they have the light speed tracking stuff. So it's like, remember? I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There's that was hilarious. And then them calling it the Holdo maneuver and explaining why it can't work because there's a one in a million thing. I was like, okay. Like, you don't ever believe, like, we didn't read any of the fan criticisms. Like, yo, I'm sure you didn't.
But yeah, something else again that could have been fun, but just so the first 20 minutes of that movie, I was like, whoa, is the whole movie gonna be like this?
100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Reminds me
just
of Rogue One.
great.
Rogue One's like that.
Yeah.
It's like, bam, 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 plant.
But then again, it just had really heartwarming moments. I love like Chewie getting angry when they're playing chess, and he's like, "You're 250 years old. Of course, you're better at this game than we are, man. We're just
We're not going to turn it off. Turn it off.
So yeah, it's like I think I don't know if there's anything before I like wrap this up. There's anything else that the two of you need to touch on? Any last thoughts? I'm like cycling through the cast right now, and Dominic Monaghan, thank you, finally got his.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just feel going forward, they really should just focus on doing individual movies.
J.J. Abrams was the voice
I think they
of
confirmed
Dio.
that.
Yeah, like I feel like, this didn't work out for them as well as I'd hoped.
Yeah.
But I mean, there obviously there are bright spots here and there in this trilogy. They've also proven like that they can do a good one-off movie. Like just bring up Rogue One in all retrospect now, and having rewatched it before going to see this, it just makes me feel that much better about Rogue One. Like it was a good film. It felt even better upon a rewatch. And I think there's a lot of things they can do. There's good stuff they can still do with Star Wars, absolutely. I mean, Mandalorian series, like I'm sure they could do fantastic TV shows and stuff. But like, if you're gonna do like a series of films again, you need to have it planned out. You need to have a roadmap, and like you need to stick to it. Like you can't piecemeal it. You can't just wing it. Like it worked out well for the original trilogy as they're making up because like they lucked out, and like they were working under constraints and stuff. And, they weren't given unlimited resources like they have at Disney now. And this is like the problem when it gets out of hand and like too many cooks in the kitchen and stuff. It's like this didn't work. This didn't work. Don't do this again, basically. I don't ever want to see them out. Like when they announced this trilogy or whatever, who knows if it's still happening in those 2020s or whatever.
Right.
Like you better have something planned out for that, please.
Well, I mean, that'll be refreshing because
Yeah.
if they do that, it'll be supposedly from rumors. It'll be a completely new cast, completely new everything.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I think one of my big things is not necessarily that it was disjointed, but that they kind of wanted to have their cake and eat it too by like, we don't want to have just new characters and we don't want to just tell another story with Luke, Han, and Leia. We want to do both, kind of. It was like, and so it just seemed that struggle between the old guard and the new guard,
Passing on the torch.
It seemed like there was no way to fix it. And to be honest, I think whether even though I do have problems with the movie, I think Rian Johnson had the most interesting ideas of kind of how to shake that up. I'm not talking about execution. I'm just talking about, like JJ showed up with Force Awakens and JJ was just like, I'm not going to piss anyone off. And Ryan was like, yeah, but what if, what if you think about Luke like leaving Yoda, and Yoda's like, what are you doing? I told you, forget them, man. Like, I know Leia's your sister and I'm even willing to let her go. You got to train. And Luke's like, no. I'm going to go be, I'm gonna follow my emotions and just fly out there and get wasted by Vader. And so it's like, people, undermining expectations and making mistakes and learning from them is like a part of the story. And it just, dude, I was livid when I walked out of Last Jedi, and just the more and more I think about it, it's like, it is an interesting movie, and he did make a lot of interesting choices.
It stinks because like Rian Johnson's he's very talented, freaking amazing, and like if he just given him any other Star Wars film that was not in part of this trilogy, it'd probably be like revered. It would be like, this is one of the best Star Wars films, but sticking him into the middle of something someone else had started to continue it, and then like not bringing them back to do the third one and giving it back to the person who started, it was just a recipe for disaster. Like he was put in a tough situation, and that's it. That's all it is. It's like not completely his fault. It's just, he did what he wanted to do, and the film got made. Someone greenlit it. People at Disney and Lucasfilm, they said this is okay. It's like not his fault.
I mean, and he wrote a lot of it, so it is partially his fault. I'm not gonna give him like a free pass, but like he did involve it. Yes, Disney definitely did sign off it. I think they just made bad choices. Like, they made some bad choices with this movie. That's it.
With The Last Jedi or
Both.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like the best thing they could have done is not brought Abrams back for the third film. Brought someone else in.
Well, they were trying to do the other guy, the Jurassic World guy first, but he dropped out.
Yeah,
That's right.
And the overreaction, but like anything that would have continued on from Rian Johnson's ending and like the message of that film and built off that versus what I got with this. I feel like I got. Yeah, I think I've said my piece. I got the point across, but it's such a disjointed trilogy. It shouldn't even be called a trilogy. It's just weird.
But we are still trying to figure out what's going on with our emotions concerning this movie. I am now actually, I just recently rewatched Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and now that it's like, oh, she's a Palpatine? Well, crap, I got to watch those movies again. I am excited to, when this comes out, to just take, 7 hours one day and just go through the entire thing all over again.
For sure.
And I'm sure I will come to new realizations. Apologies if we are, again, more negative than some people. It's tough to share opinions when we're on a spoiler mode because those might conflict with people. I was actually surprised waking up the next morning and going to social media, and I'm like, well, I'm mostly seeing happiness here. I'm mostly seeing a lot of people. I have to dig a little bit more because I see people who are like, and I actually do this comment does kind of irk me a little bit where people are like, yeah, it was dumb, but it's Star Wars. And it's like, well, wait, hold on. That means
a lot of Star Wars is dumb, too.
It is, but that doesn't mean that, we can't celebrate the moments that aren't dumb
sure.
or separate them
For
or point out stuff that like Empire that like, okay, there was some sort of magic that was captured here right in the middle of this entire thing. What happened? Why is that one movie, why does that work on so many levels in ways that the other films don't? But it was so exciting to meet here today, gentlemen, and talk to you about this movie. I'm so excited that that we did get a new trilogy. Just seeing interviews with with Daisy and John Boyega, like seeing them talk about their passions and seeing these actors that just got to be, even like Daniel Craig at Force Awakens, like these actors that got to be a part of it for just a little bit. And of course, Mandalorian's gonna be wrapped up. There's lots of other things to look forward to and be happy about in the world of Star Wars. If you haven't played Fallen Order, do it immediately.
If you're disappointed by like Star Wars and everything like that, it's just like it's never gonna end.
There's a lot more Star Wars out there.
A lot more.
There's a lot more Star Wars to enjoy. Yeah. And this doesn't bring you down as far as Star Wars is concerned.
No,
right? Still feeling it.
Oh, no. I feel like at this point, Jones and Brad, I will finish The Mandalorian, but like I think I'm at an all-time low of like I don't care about Star Wars.
I think you might just be tired. You're just exhausted.
Yeah, like I'm burnt out, and it's like I was never a mega fan or anything like that. I'm like the middle of the road casual. Like I'll go see it opening weekend. I have an interest. I'll follow lore, but like I don't get super excited about a lot of the stuff. And yeah, it just leaves me at the lowest point where I'm just most disinterested in Star Wars.
It's like when you hit a fast food joint too many times in 1 month.
Sure,
you're just like, that's it. No more Big Macs for me.
Damiani,
and then like 5 months later, you're like,
it feels like after.
It
feels like it felt like how I felt after the prequel trilogy. Like same feeling. Like
sure.
I feel like
I think if you watch Star Wars, Dominic, you'll always come to a point like that. Yeah. Like I've been there with Star Wars. Like that's just the way it is, man. It's just Star Wars is weird. Like we've been through the hard times, and we'll be there for the good.
That's I want to clarify. That's how Luke feels in Last Jedi.
I want to clarify like, people.
Have you seen the prequels?
Yeah, I want to clarify that people don't read into it the wrong way. The prequel trilogy is still trash and is the first.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones is still the worst.
Let's try to keep a little optimism.
Yes. All three of the new films were way better than most of the, all the trilogy. Like maybe Revenge of the Sith comes a little close, but it was still pretty bad. The really bad original.
I didn't
prequel
groan
trilogy.
Out loud from the dialogue as much.
Oh yeah, the writing in the prequels.
When I was watching the prequels, I was like, oh
yeah.
Oh my
trash.
God.
Prequels are very bad. So
I wasn't.
They did a better job than that.
Angry at this movie.
Yes.
And even though I do harbor some resentment for some of the mistakes that J.J. Abrams has made, what I feel happy about? Who I feel happy about specifically? The patrons of patreon.com/Easy Allies who watched this rant. We don't have the clock down there anymore. How long is this? What do you guess?
No
Guesses. What I think hour 20. Hour 20. I say hour 20. This feels like more than an hour. But thank you for sitting through this, regardless of what your thoughts were for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Thank you so much for being a patron of Easy Allies and for supporting us and for putting up with all of our wacky opinions and all the spoiler modes that we do. And I just want to keep it. I just think there's going to be a lot of people, not only that haven't seen Rise of Skywalker yet, but are just trying to. It's the holidays. A lot of people wait to see movies, until like either right after Christmas. It's like between Christmas and New Year's. It's just that perfect movie watching time. So maybe once we get into 2020, then we can be a little more free and open about our analysis and our feelings about this movie. I, again, also have to see it.
Like,
have to see it one more time.
I got to see it many more times.
So apologies if you throw a question at Cup of Jones, or if you're watching our podcast or something, you ask a love and respect question, and like we don't necessarily address it. It's like I just don't want to spoil things for people, or I don't want to soil anyone's experience, because there were a lot of people I saw on social media that were delighted by this film, and I don't want to take that away. Enjoy Star Wars while you can. May the Force be with you. Thanks for watching.